Hello, good people. This is a PSA from TSA. You are listening to the Underground Railroad Show at Spreaker.com. I am the great TSA with my assistant, That Ninja. I'm sorry for the lack of attendance. I was busy spiking faces and beating data dominoes. TSA out.
Hey, baby girl, I'm about to go hop in the shower. When I get out, we head out to the volleyball tournament, okay?
Okay. Oh, can I use my the computer?
Oh, yeah, of course, baby. Of course. Hey, baby girl.
Yeah.
Repetition breeds familiarity.
Familiarity breeds comfort. Comfort breeds complacency or success. We're going for the latter rather than the former.
All right, good deal. Handle business.
Okay.
Hey, remember you're a beast out there. Act like it.
I will.
All right.
Let me see what he got in these emails. Spam. Overdue bills. Not surprised. Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. Young nigga got it bad 'cause he's broke. What is this? Sarah? Linda? Becky? Amber? Amy? Molly? Ginger? Heather? Karen? Oh, hell no. We are not having this. No, I don't want no Pancake Tuesdays. Oh, God, delete. No, I do not want your lemon bars, Karen. Oh, my dad's gonna get...
Oh, man, I love the game of golf. It was a beautiful day out here today, wasn't it, baby girl? You didn't think it was a nice day today?
Well, I am sweating all over, so... No, I didn't really think it was.
Well, I mean, you got to drive the car. You got to drive the car, and it did have the hood on it, so it kept the sun off of you.
Yeah, but it had no air conditioning.
Well, okay, fair enough. So, we're going to get something to eat, right?
Of course.
Cool.
And you're obviously paying, right?
Always. Man, golf is a fun sport. Hey, I drove the ball pretty well today, don't you think?
Pretty well to the far right, yeah.
But, okay, even though I went right, my iron game was really good, and I was able to fight my way out of that.
Yeah, but you hit it into the sand, and you did that quite often, might I add.
Even when I went in the sand, my chip was really tight, so I was able to get out of there and get close to the flag.
After 3 times.
You have to admit, though, my putting game was really good, and it saved me a lot of the times from all of the bad hits I had out in the fairway.
And it only took you 11 holes. Listen, until you get a good golfing game, I'm going to keep giving you shit.
I'm improving. I mean, since I've gotten started, haven't I got a lot better?
Yes, you've gotten better since your injury.
We don't have to talk about my shoulder, but I mean, that's another reason why it's coming along slowly, but, you know, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it.
Sure.
Do you have strong opinions and you're looking for a way to express them? Are you tired of carbon copy sports radio that infests the airwaves? Do you have creative concepts and ideas that you want to share with the world? Then this is not the commercial for you. This commercial is all about
Kinko's University.
That's right. Kinko's University gets you prepared for the podcasting world when you don't have the chops for it. If you're one of the many people looking to get into podcasting, but you just don't have the skill, Kinko's University is the university for you.
I want to do a podcast, but where do I start? And what do I talk about? Kinko's University.
Don't worry, here at Kinko's University, the first thing we teach you about is OPP. That's right, other people's perspective. So you can always have something to talk about getting it from another source.
Podcasting looks fun, but do I really have to do all that research and show prep? Kinko's University.
Absolutely not. Here at Kinko's, we have classes like No Preparation 101, where we teach you to get around all of that pesky show prep because we know you don't have the time.
I wonder what the best time slot is to get the most listeners.
Kinko's University.
Don't worry, here at Kinko's we have a class called Recycling Ideas 101, where you can find a time slot that works and just jump in that slot to try to make it happen for yourself.
Kinko's University.
I want to come up with new content and subject matter, but I'm not that creative.
Kinko's University.
You'll also take Regurgitation 101, which will help you come up with other people's subject matter that you can recycle and make your own. That's right, here at Kinko's we teach you how to get around hard work, getting new wrinkles in your brain, and having to work hard at your craft. Come to Kinko's, where you can take these top courses with top teachers. Most people that go to Kinko's graduate with Kinko's degrees, that's right, as master copiers. Kinko's University, for the skilled impaired.
Kinko's University is not a real university and is not accredited. You don't actually learn any skills. You just learn how to mimic people who have actual skill.
Underground Railroad Show with that ninja. All aboard, have your tickets ready because the train has arrived. Delayed or on time, it's time to get on board.
What's going on, fam? This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, that ninja. Thank you for coming aboard, and I hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. Okay, right off the bat, my apologies for last week. Life happens. It was actually due to the climactic weather that we had here in Huntsville, and that I'm sure a lot of you had to endure throughout the country, especially those of us who live above the quote-unquote Bible Belt. You really had to deal with some weather. I know in Columbus, they got about a foot of snow, a lot of ice. School was actually shut down for a week. But no one understands this is a city that is equipped and has the infrastructure to actually deal with those type of elements. And they did something they never do, which is shut down schools. So the weather was extreme in a lot of areas. Long story short, had a long Sunday, ice prevention, taking care of the things we normally take care of. It didn't bleed into Monday as much as I thought it would, but it still kind of threw me off. I didn't get to show off that day. Wasn't able to find a practical makeup day after that. So my apologies for last week. I actually still have that show in the can. I'm going to come back around to that. The title of today's show is Coming for Us. The title of today's show is Coming for Us. I have a few thoughts on that, and I'll elaborate.
Nigga, please.
It was actually, I was speaking to Light Skywalker, a.k.a. L. DeBarge. No, I'm sorry, not L. A.k.a. Chico DeBarge, fresh out the pen, a.k.a. Sarge from a Soldier Store. But I was speaking to ABM earlier, and that, we spoke about a couple of things here and there. I know I'm a little conversation with us, bloviating about whatever. And we started talking about this, the frustration of so many of us not focusing on the actual issue and deflecting and being a victim of the psychological warfare that you deal with that causes, I think, a lot of us subconsciously to somehow work whatever the issue is back around to you. You know how we talk about how white America voted in this savage piece of shit. But the conversation is, quote unquote, black men put him in the White House. Now, there are a couple of things there. One could be pure ignorance. Two could be a lack of math. The other thing is just self-hate and a cowardice to actually speak to and about the actual problem. I don't understand that, but it's a disease that plagues a bunch of us. But myself and ABM were talking about that, and we spoke about the notion of America coming for us. So, and again, this is on the heels of obviously what's going on with the Hispanic Americans in the country. Supposed to be Mexicans, but anybody that has a look. So, whatever's going on with because of their current situation, savagery left and right, because of that, you're hearing this notion or this narrative that, again, not focusing on the actual issue, talking all around the issue, and then coming around and saying they're coming for us next. Us being black people. Interesting. I'll give you my thoughts on that. One second. Let me do my usual spiel that allows people to get in. But again, having to deal with some weather that actually didn't hit. We got a good amount of rain, and we dropped into single digits, and we stayed below freezing for a little while, which, for here is, that's extreme for here. So the issue and the worry was ice. Slow the city down a little bit. Anybody that lives in a really bad weather state or city, you laugh at it, but that was the issue, we had as far as weather. So that kind of threw off my week as far as doing the show. Generally, I still should have been able to make it up, but work complications, day going long. The day kept going long to the point where I just didn't want to start a show that late. So that's what ended up happening there. The entire point of that, weather was really cold, so it's a quote unquote soup season. So I decided to go ahead and get into some form of soup. I was gonna go chicken stew. But for whatever reason, I just had a taste for beef stew, so I went that route. This is just a show thing for those who are like, what the hell is he doing? Just a show thing, the whole food thing. But what did I do that was different? I think I mentioned all of that. I don't think I did anything different other than that. But I did make some beef stew. I'm almost certain I mentioned the whole thing about, maybe I didn't, because I didn't do a show last week. Okay. I actually tried, and tell me if I told y'all this, I tried chicken sausage. I'm not saying it's great, but it was actually edible and tolerable, and I ate it a couple of times, with some egg whites. Now, anybody that's listened to the show for a while knows that when I was still partaking in pork, and that's really, I think, what it was. When you're actually still eating pork, any type of substitute, it's not going to do. If you have access to Kool-Aid, they can't just give you Flavor Aid. If you can get Welch's, you can't give me, this random name grape drink. There are just certain things you can't do. So, and that's something that just, if you actually still partake in pork, these pork substitutes are just, they're so subpar. But I guess because I've been off the pig for so long, when I tried this, I wasn't like immediately disgusted. It was actually kind of edible. Again, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but for those who listen to the show, for me that's like a really a reach. That's really a reach. I didn't do anything extra with the beef stew. Came out great. General carrots. Actually, I had this vegetable mix I get from the meat market. They have a lot of frozen vegetables, especially around this time of year when getting fresh is a little difficult. Quality fresh stuff is a little difficult, so I go get frozen vegetables from there. They got good green beans, whatnot, and they have this nice mix. This nice mix that's good for like fried rice, and it's good for stews and whatnot. I was going to just cut everything up because I had everything. Then I remembered I had that. I said, "Oh shit, I can take the lazy way out because they're fresh vegetables anyway. That is frozen, or they're real vegetables. And, what I'm saying. They weren't, held together with preservatives or whatever. So I just used that, and it ended up being the perfect amount. Potatoes. Used some, nice little roast or whatever, and had it come out really, really tender. It's actually really good. I'm enjoying it quite thoroughly. So That beef stew came out really well. But that's like my favorite stew. And I voluntarily, once again, I put shallots in it. I'm not gonna go just full on like white or yellow onion or anything, but I may incorporate some shallots here and there depending on what I'm making. It's not gonna go in everything. But soups, something that it can blend into, like I put it in the dirty rice, I put it in this soup. I can get away with it in those dishes. If I do a taco soup, I'll probably put some shallots in it. That's about as heavy as I'm gonna go in the onion family. I thought there was something else different that I ate that I thought y'all would get a kick out of, but I can't remember what it was. It'll come to me later. But I think the craziest thing was really that chicken sausage. I don't even think I'm to the point where I would go like buy that for myself. Like, oh, I'm craving that. Let me go get it. I don't think I would do that. That's too much. But it was edible. And I think that's probably due to the fact that I don't eat pork anymore. If I did eat pork, I'd probably say, get this bullshit away from me is probably what I'd say. Oh, ABM said frozen vegetables are loaded with sodium. I think, let me double check. I want to say the meat market just freezes them. They're not like the, not like the store bought. The meat market kind of just, I'll double check, but I think I asked about that. Generally speaking, you're right, but not with those. Not with those. But yeah, if you buy your generally frozen vegetables, you're going to get that. You're going to get that. And generally, I just cut them up, but I had that. I went lazy. But generally speaking, you're right, sir. Generally speaking, you're right. All right, man. Let me go ahead and get into this. There was something else I want. Before I get directly into it, Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. It is the 2nd of February in 2026. And what I'll do like this is any different from any other show, but I'll be intentional with every show in February. I'll give you somebody in Black history I respect, and I'll give you, their philosophy or a couple of their quotes and incorporate it into the subject matter in the show. And that'll be easy today. So, I'm just not diligent on my social media, and I should be. So I think I've attempted to try to post something every day about, somebody in Black history that doesn't necessarily get spoken about. But what I think I'll do is I'll just highlight somebody every show this month. That I can guarantee I can do. That I'll do for sure. Even though I missed the show last week, I have to make one up. But I can do that. I don't think I'm going to post every day. I'm just not going to remember to do that shit. I'm just not diligent like that. I rarely post. And when I do, it's generally something like that. So maybe I'll definitely do something this month. But man, I don't think I have the discipline. As crazy as that sounds, as simple a thing as posting is, I don't know if I got the discipline to just sit there and post every damn day. I attempted to do that shit once. It might have been last year. I might have made it a week or two before I missed a day. Maybe. Yeah. You have to really, it seems like a small thing, but you have to really sit there and think that shit out and just have it ready so you can just lay it out. So it has to be something, you just can't decide to do it at the last minute. I guess if I do it, I pretty much need to have everything lined up. So if you get busy one morning and you don't have time to, think about it or whatever, but at any rate, I'm not even going to attempt it. But let me go here and I'll give you several quotes from this gentleman today. I'll give you 3. And I chose this gentleman because I didn't mention him enough during my Dr. King and Malcolm X episode. I didn't mention him enough. Khalid Abdul-Muhammad. And we'll start here. And again, the title of today's show is Coming for Us? If I'm doing it grammatically correctly with the question marks and shit, but Coming for Us is the title of today's show. I'll give you my thoughts on the notion that because of the savagery being thrust upon Mexican Americans right now, so-called illegals, not whether you're legal or not, anybody that fits the bill, because of what's happening to them right now, again, the reaction is kind of still deflecting from the problem, but you're hearing screams of they're coming for us next. Us being black people. Very shortly, I'll give you my thought on perception versus reality today. I've had 2 small glitches, which is crazy. I'm actually in the house today. That's why. But happy Black History Month. And in the spirit of Black History Month, I'm going to feature Khalid Abdul-Muhammad today. And some of his quotes, or 3 of his quotes, will come up during the course of the show, and they'll tie into what I'm discussing today. Have you forgotten that once we were brought here, we were robbed of our names, robbed of our language, robbed of our religion, our culture, our God, and many of us by the way that we act, we even lost our mind. One more time from Khalid Abdul-Muhammad. Have you forgotten that once we were brought here, we were robbed of our names, robbed of our language, we lost our religion, our culture, our God, and many of us by the way we act, we even lost our minds. The significance of that, just generally speaking, is because it's not taught, because it's not to the benefit of the narrative pushed by America, it's downplayed to the point that even when it's brought up, the reaction is vitriolic, because so many, again, through psychological warfare, so many of us are using white talking points when it comes to our own history. It's being downplayed because that's what America tells you to do, because that's their narrative. They don't want to really speak about the true history. True knowledge of self would really solve a lot of our issues, quite frankly, but that isn't brought up enough when we're discussing the current state of America, or the black people's current state in America. If you actually factor in that the people that brought us here are in charge of how our history is taught, and quite frankly, how our lifestyle, in a lot of cases, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, they're directly connected to your ability to create revenue. If you understand origins and you understand the history, you'd understand how false the history is. You'd be very apprehensive at what is told and taught to you if you really studied and realized how many lies were pushed. You wouldn't be so quick to say that this news source ran by this group of people that throughout the course of history have shown themselves to, at a bare minimum, to dislike the majority of the people that look like me. Maybe I won't be so quick to just jump on to and believe everything they say as if it's the word of quote unquote God. An understanding of history, I think, would make you understand that the people you actually need to be apprehensive about are the people whose talking points you're using. But I digress. It's just that to act like being stripped of everything, a people without knowledge of their history is like a tree with no roots. If you understand where you came from, they wouldn't be able to push half of this agenda. That's why they hide it. And that goes, and that ties into the title of today's show, Coming For Us. So I'll highlight somebody every show during Black History Month, and again, that's down there like any other show, but I'll be intentional. Today's highlight is Khalid Abdul-Muhammad. He'll come up a couple of more times during the course of the show at a bare minimum 2 more times. So, do I want to do quick intros? I can do quick intros. It's not that bad. I'll do introductions, not quick introductions, but quick meaning at this point in the show. I usually like to give you something to think about first. I'll do introductions for those that are in here right now. Then I'll get into the subject matter and my thoughts on the notion of America coming for us, quote unquote. I can't say ahead of time.
That's a lie! That's a goddamn lie!
You gonna get us in trouble.
Wait a minute.
You black, you live in America, you in trouble. I can't get you in no trouble.
Had the wrong one. All right. Let's go ahead and introduce everybody that's come aboard. Look at the first man aboard the train. Free agent Raider for life. What's going on, fam? Thank you for coming aboard. Hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. The Reverend Raider. who generously co-hosted my annual show on religion last year. ABM said Shabuzi is giving us a show. Shabuzi, isn't that one of them R&B niggas? Was he a rapper or some shit? You're funny, sir. You're funny. Well, thank you, Sarge. Thank you, Sarge. We have the angry black man on the train. What's going on, sir? Thank you for coming aboard, man. Hope y'all enjoying the ride thus far. Raider for life, rough year. Firing a white man after one season is rough business. But I will say my new squad is making it rough on me. When I get into my football rant, if I have an opportunity to, it will be absolutely nothing but complaining. Nothing but complaining. Thank you for coming aboard, ABM. ABM spoke it earlier, but when he said frozen vegetables are loaded with sodium. Slug goes, oh, we got my man Sluggo the motherfucking Hammer on the train. What's going on, sir? Thank you for coming aboard, sir, and I hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. Once again, I do apologize for missing that show last week. You know I'm not going to be gone long because, quite frankly, I'm a junkie.
Shit, man, it's got me, man. I don't got no control over it, man. I try to kick, man. Shit just be calling me, man. Be calling me, man. I just got to go to it. Need help, man.
Coming aboard the train to his usual bomb drop for slapping the sauce out of his wife's hands when she tried to apply it to my ribs. Real talk, true story. We got none other than the great Sidney Jackson.
Amen, preacher!
And Sidney protected the rib bones. Okay. I see we got Sluggo still in my thunder, but okay, let's go ahead and go there now. Sluggo said, every month is Black History Month, sir. Sir, you are 100% correct. And since you said it already, let me just go ahead and give you that.
Amen, preacher!
Along the lines of today's show coming for us, I'll just give you this a little bit now before I jump into it. Black History Month itself. So a large portion of white America is very upset about that. They find it very insulting. And that's when they say things like, well, there shouldn't be Black History Month. It should just be American history. But the reason it's not looked at like that is because of all the fucked up things that your ancestors and you continue to do. That's why we had to point out a Black History Month, because otherwise you wouldn't fucking teach it. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with you. Now, on the other side of that, every month is Black History Month. The entire Morgan Freeman tried to say this, but the way he said it, really, he went about it the wrong way, if you ask me. I understood what he meant, but just the way he said it was, he let them off the hook when he said it. So telling half the story doesn't help, in my humble opinion. The fact that there has to be a Black History Month shows the issue. If it was just one America, if it was just us, if they didn't look at it as us and them, there would be absolutely no need for a Black History Month. There's a need for one because otherwise you won't fucking teach it. And even during Black History Month, they don't teach Black history. They cherry pick the history they want to teach. And even then, when they do that, they bastardize the shit that they cherry pick. So you really don't get it. You have to study it on your own. And let's keep in mind, I don't want to go too far, but I mean, they're making that illegal, or they're removing it and recontextualizing it and white-splaining it. But again, the notion of coming for us. I would think misrepresenting someone's history and marginalizing them to the point where you have to pacify. Again, to even give us the month is one thing. Number one, giving us the month is not really a big deal. It doesn't mean shit. It's kind of symbolic. And even during the month, it's very much not symbolic because you're not teaching the hard facts and the true history of the country. Even if you didn't want to teach all the horrible shit, you could at least teach how in every war without Black people, you incompetent motherfuckers would have lost. You don't even teach that. You don't teach about the Rhode Island Regiment. You don't teach about, I mean, even we can talk about the motivation to even want to be a part of the war and help these people, but everybody from the Buffalo Soldiers to the Rhode Island Regiment to every Black to every black group of people or individuals. Even in the Revolutionary War, Lafayette, he was a double agent, and without his information, they probably would have lost the war because the British were about to attack one of the heaviest posts and a sneak attack it, and America had no idea. But because James Armistead Lafayette, I think was his name, he was a double agent. In every damn war in the history of this motherfucker, some black person helped these incompetent motherfuckers to win it. When we were never even really a part of the fucking system, and we weren't afforded none of the fucking luxuries that a so-called citizen of the country is afforded, and we still help these motherfuckers in every fucking war. So yes, Black History Month is bullshit because even during this month, they don't even teach you that. If you don't want to teach about how fucked up you were and how you stole everything, you can at least teach about all the contributions. They don't do that because if you learn about all that, you're like, okay, but what did y'all invent though? So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. One point I was going to make is that I think the ancestors of the savages that brought you over and committed some of the most horrific acts in the history of mankind, having the final say-so on how and when your history is taught, I think that qualifies as coming for us. I'm coming for us. I think if the ancestors of the people that brought you here decide how, where, and when your history is taught, I think they're coming for us already.
What? Nigga, please.
That seems like a slight attack, but we'll continue that in a second. But Sluggo, you're 100% correct. Sydney said, did Ninja burn his Ohio State flag? That is funny. I'll get into that if I can get through this opening. ABM said, Sid Jack, he sent it to the cleaners to get those skid marks off from it. ABM said, Sidney Jackson, he sent it to the cleaners to get those skid marks off from the skid marks from Indiana off of it. That is funny. That's funny. That's funny.
That motherfucker must have lost his goddamn mind.
Sluggo said, I need to do more research on Ida B. Wells because apparently she'd walk out of meetings on your arse if she thought you were cooning. She also walked out on the women's suffrage parade when the whites asked her to walk in the back. She would walk out on many of those so-called black organizations in 2026. Again, I need Ida B. Wells. Okay. Again, let's bomb drop that. That's understanding that symbolism and marginalizing me when you're allegedly, how the fuck is this something for me if you want me to march in the goddamn back? Just having a so-called seat at the table, a seat at the table with no power. Only a fool respects something or someone that doesn't respect them. If an entity doesn't acknowledge you or do anything for you, that entity doesn't respect you. But if you continue to show that entity respect when respect is not given to you, what choice does that entity have but to look at you as the fool that you're acting like? Only a fool respects something or someone that doesn't respect them. Showing you respect is having basic concern for your well-being. And just ask yourself, does that apply to these people and parties that you defend so vigilantly? And again, so obviously Ida B. Wells wasn't about that shit. If we learn from our history, again, if we knew about that, if we knew about Ida B. Wells and that particular mentality and why it's completely unacceptable to quote unquote play the game, to not tell the truth because the people who are causing the problem might find it to be uncomfortable. Damn, so to be in a political position but not be able to speak about any of the people that look like you coming for us.
Hey, slow down. Watch your speed.
Sidney Jackson said 50% or more of their fellow burrito rappers voted. Oh shit. Okay, Sluggo and Sydney still in my thunder. I'll address both of those points now since y'all own it. But again, to clarify, just to tie it in, since you did bring it up, Sluggo. Again, the notion that they're coming for us. When your history and your contribution to this country, when you built it physically and mentally with all of your contributions is minimalized to a month and being erased in real time, I don't think you have to worry about somebody coming for you if they've already white-splained your history. And then even the bullshit white-splained history they give you now, they're like, that's too much. We don't want our kids to feel bad. So we're even going to pull that back. Every black man that was hung was castrated. They left that out. All those little hanging pictures, they're inaccurate because the pants would have been down too. That's what they did. It needs to be understood because you're really going to pretend like that type of savagery was just bred out of them in 3 or 4 generations? Go back and look and see how many generations have passed since then. Put it in perspective. If you do, you wouldn't be surprised by the way they act. Like, oh shit, they just being themselves. Just saying. Sydney said 50% or more of their fellow burrito rappers voted for a party that said they would throw Paco, Jesus, and Maria back across Rio Grande if they don't care about their own. The Rio Grande. I'm sorry. God damn, boy, you stupid. Okay, I did have a point along this line. God damn, you stupid. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Shit. My bad. Sidney Jackson said 50% or more of their fellow burrito rappers voted for a party that said they would throw Paco, Jesus, and Maria back across the Rio Grande. If they don't care about their own, then why do they expect black people to shield them from ICE? Great point. That's something else I was going to bring up since y'all are very smart. I'll just bring it up now. But Sidney Jackson.
Amen, preacher.
Well, let me give you this first before I speak. Back across the Rio Grande. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh God. Okay. As far as what Mexican Americans are going through, as I told y'all, I had a coworker, had past tense, has his citizenship, obviously, because we spoke about this when we were speaking about the problem and how this man got in the White House. It was all a setup, but I don't have time to regurgitate that right now. He voted for Trump. We're talking about he would get pulled over 1,000% by ICE. He's a citizen, but he has an accent. He speaks English, but he has an accent. He has papers and a license, but he has an accent. He would get pulled over too, but he voted for Trump. And that is what Sydney's talking about. That's on y'all. And another thing to remember about that, and I might elaborate on this a little bit more. Maybe I'll just get everything out of the way now. Number one, and I'll be specific, but when black people were going through it, when we're going through whatever we're going through, whether it be mistreatment, police brutality, injustice by the judicial system, where was the cry from the Hispanic community? If you can show me evidence, and again, let's be specific. If you have a personal relationship with somebody, they've earned your respect, you care for them, they care for you, that's different. But if we're talking about communities and standing up, only a fool respects something or someone that doesn't respect them. If you are in a situation where you have verifiable proof and papers and receipts on somebody that's going through this, on a Mexican individual that's going through this, that you know has put in work and that you feel that way about, that makes all the sense in the world. But just to blindly do it without looking to see if that was reciprocated, it doesn't make sense. Again, don't respect something that doesn't respect you. I'll tell you something that QT said. Those that know. When a baby girl was young, we were going to she was going to birthday parties, and I just won't say whose parties, but no. We were inviting people to her birthday parties. We can just keep it there. We're inviting people to her birthday parties. And after probably a couple of years of that, and I was getting ready to do the inviting again, you know, she was like, well, no, why are you going to invite them? And I'm like, why not? And she said, do they ever invite us to their kids' parties? Because at first I'm like, you know, why are you acting like that? Of course I'm invite them. Of course, you know. She said, do they ever invite us to their kids' parties? I stopped and thought about it, because their kids did have parties, because you hear about it or you see it. I think social media was around then, so you know, pictures and all that, hey, the party and all that. I'm like, God damn, you're right. It just never crossed my mind. But even in that situation, if you're, you know, you're showing respect, okay, this my kids having a party, you know, come on over. I thought about you. It's not reciprocated. So yeah, I mean, we're cool, but damn sure not inviting you to a fucking party again. That made all the sense in the world. Why am I respecting? Only a fool respects somebody doesn't respect them, right? That's a minor situation, but it made all the sense in the world. I just didn't see it. But once it's pointed out, ignoring it doesn't make sense. So If there's a large outcry and they're standing right there with us, this is bullshit. You know, we're all minorities here. Let's work together. That hasn't been the case in my experience. It's been people like the cat that worked with me that voted for Trump, and it's been a lot of them thinking that, you know, we've done this, we've done that. That's why we've gotten advances in America. You know, we're better than y'all. That type of attitude. That's happened a lot. Again, I have real conversations. Look at the people that are actually attacking them now as gods, when, you know, wiser people may have told them many moons ago, "Watchale tú around mucho todos diablos." Told them a long time ago to watch out. And now they're like, "Oh, sí, mucho diablos." I'm like, but they had that attitude that we're better, we're advanced, we're the biggest minority, and now welcome. It's fucked up, but a lot of it is your own doing with the way that you vote, with the way a lot of you have voted, and the lack of respect. I spoke about that. You know, I can't remember what council she was on, senator, whoever she was. She was a Mexican woman, and she was shitting on Dr. King's legacy, never stood up for us for anything, but said, if you're not standing up for Mexican Americans or whatever was happening to some Hispanic group at that time, then you should not quote Dr. King. Well, thank you, Mexican woman, for telling us how to feel about somebody that did not give a shit about what you're talking about. He wanted a better life for everybody, but it was black people against the people that we had a problem with, white people that were acting fucking crazy. That's what it was about. And now all these years later, everybody wants to recontextualize his motherfucking message for their own goddamn benefit. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. The point in what you're saying, Sydney, is that save your energy, because they wouldn't spend that energy on you. That's going back to didn't invite us to the party with save your energy, your money, same shit. Save your energy. Unless that energy was reciprocated already or they've earned that, then feel free. Now, the human being in us is not going to like it, because we're not pieces of shit and savages. We just don't participate in things like that. Now, again, nothing's a zero-sum proposition. A lot of us have fell victim to the psychological warfare and the slow IV drip that is living in America. So it's not like we won't participate, but it's just not in our nature. If it was, once again, a lot of these problems we're facing wouldn't even be relevant, because the people we had a problem with wouldn't even be around. But I digress. ABM says, Sid Jack, he is getting that Buckeye towel washed in mayonnaise since they have added Arthur Smith as an OC to go along with their heavy whipping cream quarterback room. That might have something to do with it. Now, the washing technique you speak of, I'm not going to co-sign that, but that will be discussed if I have an opportunity to go on that rant. Raider for Life said, white American culture is centered around suppressing history because they hate to be made to feel bad about their evil deeds, refuse to take accountability, and deny its existence. Exactly. And that is so damn unacceptable.
You gonna get us in trouble.
Amen, preacher!
Literally. I knew somebody was going to notice that. But preach, Raider, preach. ABM said, Nick, what is that behind you on the wall? If it's a picture, it needs to be bigger for the giant wall space. I'm still debating on what I want to put right there. I think I'm going to frame up Pop's words, put a couple of my true heroes back there, one or two. I think I'm going to do that. But I don't think I want the Ohio State logo behind me. It's just, it's football season maybe, but I don't think I want that to be the primary thing that's behind me. I don't think that's the bulk of my show. But, ironically, ABM, you know what that is? That is an Ohio State Buckeye calendar. That is a Buckeye calendar at the bottom of it. And I saw that it was in the picture right there, and I started to move the motherfucker. But it's an Ohio State calendar, sir. That's what that is. But Raider for Life, accountability to most quote-unquote Americans feels like an attack. Because when you suffer from psychopathy, accountability does feel like an attack. You're incapable of accepting responsibility. Accountability feels like an attack, and you lash out. And the only cure for psychopathy is isolation or death.
You gonna get us in trouble. You black, you live in America, you in trouble. I can't get you in no trouble.
Sluggo said the Raiders have hired Kubiak, the Seahawks OC. Apparently, he's who all the Falcon fans wanted. I wasn't solid on the guy who hasn't been a head coach, and I'm clearly not high on a failed head coach that they hired. Interesting. We'll put a pin on that and get back to it. The Raiders. ABM said, yeah, I told Nick yesterday that the Raiders and Cardinals were the only jobs still open, and Kubiak would take one of those. Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did. Sluggo said, what about white history? If they told their real history, they wouldn't walk around with their chest out. But then again, these savages might still be proud. Sluggo, they would be. If you celebrate the 4th, you're celebrating the savagery that was portrayed onto our ancestors. It's part of it. So on some level, you're celebrating that savagery. You're celebrating your way of life back then. And they actually look at that as an attack and fuck you and go back to Africa. No. You don't get to act like a bitch because I'm telling the truth about your savage piece of shit ancestors. I'm supposed to hate the fucking air that they breathe. And if you still like them on some level, you're fucked up. If I was white, I could simply say, I'm glad I'm in the position I'm in because of what they did, but they were some fucked up people. And the average white person wouldn't say that. So is that a good person? Again, I've had this discussion. Again, most people go surface. I've had that discussion. They'll barely let you get there. Now, you can try to calmly get there. They're just going to start yelling because, again, accountability and attack, don't tell the truth. No, they just start lashing out. And I don't have empathy because I'm black in America and I deal with a lot more. And if I bring it up, you start telling me how fucked up I am. So I'll never understand biting your tongue and not telling the truth for some. Again, only fool respects something or somebody doesn't respect them. If somebody's not willing to hear the truth about your condition and what you're going through, that motherfucker doesn't care about you. So fuck them, fuck their feelings, and fuck what they're talking about. But you know what? I'll stop. Y'all get me on a rant. But I think they would be proud, Sluggo, though. The whole point of that is they would be proud. That's why they still celebrate bullshit. That's why they celebrate Confederate soldiers and the so-called founders of the country. They were all low-life bastards that should have been tied up and burned to death with a blowtorch in front of the world. They'll be like, oh, shit, I don't need to act like them. I'm going to die like that. They were horrible, low-life, ignorant motherfuckers. The same people that committed George Washington ripped the teeth out of his slave's mouth to put in his fucked up ass mouth. And they give you all these nice stories about him. They told us he had wooden teeth in school. Wooden teeth? No. So you're gonna tell me he ripped out teeth from his slave and then said, "Well, that's enough from Charles. I'll just use wood on the rest of them." If he ripped his teeth out of their goddamn mouth, he didn't stop until he had enough. Get the fuck out of here. The hell are you talking? Okay, man. Okay, at any rate. But just think about how fucking crazy that is. And we're taught that's the father of the country. Fuck that piece of shit. And I'm anti-American if I say that. No, I'm intelligent. I'm not supposed to like him. That's why the entire history is a fucking conflict. But nowadays, it's so fucked up. If you bring it up, most black people look at you like you crazy. If you let that shit die, man, we're going to be worse off, not better. Again, let me get through this. I should have just started with the damn. Let me get through this. Where am I at? Sluggo said, imagine helping the whites win wars and they still turn their backs on you. 100% of the black population should have fought with America's enemies. Man, fucking preach. And again, when I spoke about...
Amen, preacher!
I think that was my 4th of July show. When I do my show on the 4th or around the 4th, I always speak about the contributions of black people and what really... When I speak about the Revolutionary War, and I spoke about what Sluggo just said, we would not have been fighting with America. We would have been fighting for the Redcoats. Now, again, that has nothing to do with the fact they weren't great people either. But what the offer was, whether true or not, was come over here and fight for us. And if nothing else, you get to go kill the people that were just enslaving you and doing a hell of a lot more than that. So you get to go kill these motherfuckers. And you allegedly get freedom afterwards. Probably some land and all that bullshit. It probably happened in some cases. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. It's not like they were angels either. But when you have no choices, that's a better choice than not. But to actually still fight with the people that you heal with, no, I'd much rather get out of here. And I'd love to be able to come back and kill you. That would be great. That would be excellent. I'd love to do that. And they didn't teach us that either. Because if they did, you would understand that you wouldn't have been rooting for these motherfuckers. Francis Scott Key was a piece of shit. Sing his anthem that had you dying in it. We just gonna take that line out and that makes it okay. All of this shit is so goddamn infuriating and it's an afterthought now. They never taught us that and they're erasing that little bit of history. Now that it's readily available and people are actually, once you start learning something that actually feeds your soul, you just keep going. And now that they see people can do that, instead of adding it to the curriculum to get past it, they just want to keep pushing that bullshit. Do you know how fucked up an individual you have to be? Back to the chat. But again, Sluggo preach. And again, a lot of us did in the Revolutionary War. And the only reason the only reason America started letting black soldiers fight is because the black soldiers went over to the other side. And because of the addition of us, the Redcoats were beating the shit out of their ass because they had Supermen with them. Once we got on that side and gave them information and implemented our skill set, I think it was written that black soldier regiments would tear through those motherfuckers. And then they said, quote unquote, and some even seek revenge. I bet. What side you going to be on? The Redcoats were kicking the shit out of them because we were on their side beating their ass. That they implemented us in America because they had to or they would have lost. They could teach that if they just wanted to teach the pretty part of history. They won't even do that because then you have to give us credit for saving your ass. And that you can't teach white supremacy if every time y'all needed anything, we were essential. And that's the truth. Again, we're not savage in nature. At times, I wish we were. We're not. And that's all the proof you need. Because if it wasn't for James Armistead Lafayette, America would have lost that war. Him and a bunch of other soldiers. But James Armistead Lafayette, his contributions were invaluable. The Rhode Island Regiment, invaluable contributions. They're just, and again, these things could be taught easily. They don't teach it. Raider for Life says, so the Europeans have been trolling Americans, saying, so your history tells you the Americas came over and won World War II. Think we've been hoodwinked again. Yeah. It's again, I think I've always said that I think black people we're the only ones with true perspective because white people are delusional. They have star-spangled eyeballs. So everything the country does is right. We see the country for what it is because of our experience for the most part. So we see the country with a clear lens. We can actually describe it properly. So they just can't tell us these people are bad and all of that because all of that shit is the exact same thing they used to do to us. Or that's how I look at it. So you can't just sell me on these people are bad or they hate us for our freedom or whatever simple-minded bullshit you want to throw at us. Okay, that's fair. Terrible shit happens in a lot of areas. You don't go everywhere, though. It's not about whatever, man. Sluggo said, they had us believe that they beat England either, they had us believe they beat England. They beat England either just they beat England either just the colonies. Nothing could be further from the truth. They needed global help to win that war. The misinformation doesn't stop. And again, but that makes them look weak. They needed help. They've always needed help. And again, without us in any of those wars, no shot. No shot. They wouldn't have even got through the Revolutionary War, nonetheless, the Civil War. They wouldn't have gotten through either. But the Revolutionary War that started this so-called country, that started the country, without black people that should have been trying to cut their goddamn heads off, they never could have won the war. And again, even when they were in the face of just about losing, it took them having absolutely no choice. They did not want to put guns in the hands of black people for fear that we would turn around and shoot their ass. And they should have feared that, and we should have done that. And I think the quote is, I know these white folks, so I'm just going to deal with them. Which is an interesting quote. I mean, it's not for me I can't act like I would understand being in that situation. But they were basically like, I know these motherfuckers. I don't want to fuck with the people in the red coats. I don't know what type of shit they on. But then you can get used to anything. You can get used to anything, unfortunately. ABM said, is anyone on the train a member of the NAACP? Y'all trying to make me go on too many rants. I did not right now. Let me get to what I'm doing. I'll come back. Snuggle said she walked out in early NAACP meetings. They thought she was too radical. Well, that's because the NAACP there were two white people, that white woman, that white dude, the ninja, the black dude that shitted on Marcus. The reason why he was one of the founders is because he was an agent for them. He said out loud in the early 1920 something or 1913, it was early 1900s. This nigga said out loud, it wasn't W.E.B. Du Bois, was it? W.E.B. Du Bois, I think. But correct me if I'm wrong. He said that Marcus Garvey was the biggest threat to progress in America for black people because Marcus Garvey was just doing for black people. He felt that we should just listen to the whites and take whatever scraps they wanted to give us, and anything other than that was causing problems. And this is directly after a massacre, immediately after a massacre that happened over losing a vote. Imagine that, white people rioting after losing a vote. Wow, and whole history of that. Most of those, a large majority of those massacres were because those worthless motherfuckers lost votes. That's why they rigged the shit up, because if you left it fair, they wouldn't get, they don't want fair. Again, they don't even know what that means. But again, I digress. I'm talking about the history. Nothing I'm saying is a goddamn lie. But after one of those massacres where multiple black people were murdered, no insurance and shit because they called it a race riot or what the fuck ever, this nigga said out loud, to appease white people, Marcus Garvey was the biggest threat to black people in America. So yeah, somebody like that was a founder. If an organization, how relevant is the organization? When do they ever speak up on anything that white people do? The only thing I've ever heard the NAACP do is get on black comedians in movies and TV shows. I've never heard them say anything about white people. Ever. Where are they kicking and screaming about our history being erased? Is anything happening with that? That shit's not to be respected if that's not their number one priority right now. That shit's not to be respected. Go back and check the origins of that. We talked about that on the show one day. But yeah, I know why she walked out on it, because it was bullshit. Look who the founder is. Sluggo said, nope, ABM, the NAACP is trash. What I was just fucking saying. ABM said, is that an O? Oh, he's probably trying to say I. ABM said, I saw a hip hop podcast say they were disappointed in hiphop.net. Speaking on what's happening in the world, ICE and their Gestapo tactics have nothing to do with black people. If black folks are alarmed or antennas, okay, go back. If black folks are alarmed or their antennas have been raised by the smoke being felt by Juan, Geraldo, and Jorge, then these black folks have been in denial all of their life about America and psychopathic colonizers. And again, there was one part I needed to see aside, but let me read that again. I saw a hip hop podcast say they were disappointed in hiphop.net. Speaking on what's happening in the world, ICE and their Gestapo tactics have nothing to do with black people. If black folks are alarmed or their antennas have been raised by the smoke being felt by Juan, Geraldo, and Jorge, then those black folks have been in denial all of their life about America and psychopathic colonizers. Again, sir, preach.
Amen, preacher.
Y'all are pretty much on what I'm going to be on, but preach, sir. ABM said, Nick, managers can be taken into custody by ICE for knowingly employing and working illegals. Okay. I mean, do what you do. Do what you do. But do what you do. Again, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't go to the Capitol and shit on walls because I'm a poorly raised, non-bathing, sister-raping piece of shit. I don't do that. And again, if you're offended by that, I don't do that. But if I'm attacked for no reason and all that, I'm not going to die screaming I didn't do nothing and being handcuffed. And if I'm chosen when I've done absolutely nothing, I have no choice but to defend myself. If I can watch a bunch of ignorant, low-life, non-bathing pieces of shit throw a tantrum because they lost in a system that their ignorant-ass goddamn ancestors set up, I'll be goddamn if I'm going to be brutalized. I'll be goddamn. All I'll say is, you set the energy, and I'll play along. No need to talk too much, but I'll match your energy. How about that? Isn't that what people say nowadays? I'll match your energy. ABM says, Sluggo, I used to get dragged to NAACP and Urban League dinners and Urban League dinner galas in Tampa. I never liked those things at all. From the outside looking in, it appears that all that they do are they do things that are approved by America. Do it in this way because I like that. We should not give one single solitary fuck about what white America thinks about how we move when it comes to organizations that are supposed to be for us or things that we're trying to do. That should not be a factor at all. Their feelings. Do Jewish people care what Germans think about their feelings and their history? No, because they don't pretend to deny that shit. That's how you actually attempt to move on. You don't move on by saying, y'all don't talk about that because I say so, standing here as the ancestor who supports that, which means you're just as fucked up. That's how I look at it. That's why I don't talk around it. That's why I don't smile and laugh at this shit. I look at the overall picture. If you support that, if you actually in favor of that, then you're just as fucked up as the people that did it. It's that simple, because I wouldn't do that because I'm not a goddamn psychopath that's poorly raised. It's just that simple to me. It's that simple to me. Raider for Life said, one of the issues is that as soon as black people showed up at a at a protest, they got arrested. It is a concern that can spill over, but white folks have to be on the front lines of this fight. And again, All right, man. Look, okay, man. Okay. Just okay. Talking's not gonna do it. Ninjas is not our fight. I know you're looking at it and it's morally fucked up, and you're right. And again, if you have personal relationship with some cats and you feel it, I got you. I work with these cats, and I know for a fact that that's how they was feeling. White people have chosen us. We're ahead of y'all. We're better than y'all. We're the biggest minority, this and that. I've actually had the conversations. And now Diablo's coming for you. It's not everybody. Again, it's an individual based thing, but as far as like feeling like an obligation, all you have to do is just look for the receipts. Show me the large Mexican conglomerate that was there when all those things were happening to us. Or did they sit it out? Say, that's fucked up, but I'm not going to be there and no shit like that. If that's what it was, then reciprocate in the same way. Reciprocate in the same way. Again, we didn't do this. That whole dumbass white talking point about black men and Kamala and shit. Man, if y'all don't talk about the goddamn problem, you're not really going to meet those motherfuckers in the White House. The problem is the people you're around every day that you smile with, they think the same way, and that's how you should treat them. That's the problem. They're right there around you. And as much as I hear about the lack of racism and all the good people, you should be able to talk to these good people and ask them why they would do that. Or ask them, could they talk to their other less enlightened friends to fix the problem? Because obviously these are great individuals, according to the things that I hear. Talk to them. It's the lack. Otherwise, intelligent black people lose all common sense when it comes to politics and religion. I'll never understand it. Otherwise, intelligent and productive black people lose all common sense. I'll never fucking understand it. I'll never understand it. Coming aboard the train with his usual good afternoon.
Motherfucker. Motherfucker.
We have none other than a man that was here for my very first show, the great JBJ. What's going on, sir? Thank you for coming aboard, man. Hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. Here, just in time for me to get into this opening. I don't think there's much more up under here. That didn't sound right. Sidney Jackson said, Ninja, I dropped a chat in the Facebook page. This platform kept rejecting it. Thank you for reminding me about that, man. I never remember to go to Facebook and check the damn chat. Thank you for saying that. God dang, I never remember to do that. Let me see. I'll have to go there to find it, right? All right, here we go. Sydney, it's not. Dude, it is not in here, sir. Sydney, it is not in here as I look for it. Try to recontextualize it and put it in this chat room if you can, sir. Let me keep it pushing so I can get to it. JBJ coming in with soundbite requests. I never fixed my board from the last show either. I might be a little limited early so I can get to the point. Okay, there's a little bit more in here than I thought. I got you, Sydney. JBJ said Arthur Smith as OC. Yeah, Arthur Smith as OC. I'm if I have time, I'll get into that. But yeah, that's City, when I get past some things, JBJ, I'll put all these things back in here. But I did move a lot of that because those are all common sound bites that should be in here. But I'm almost certain I moved all of that. I did. Oh, as a matter of fact, okay. I thought so. As JBJ said, Arthur Smith is an OC.
What was that? What was that? What was that?
The truth is for everybody. but everybody might not be for the truth.
JBJ, you got issues, sir. JBJ wanted to emphasize that with something, and as JBJ emphasized,
white people have never been clean. Not now, not ever.
I don't understand the problem with the Buckeye calendar. JBJ saying a Buckeye calendar.
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
ABM said if ICE is in Chicago when the summer temps hit, they will get smoked. I really advise them to stay out of the city limits. I'm honestly waiting for that to happen. It should have happened already. ABM, JBJ, the Buckeye calendar is diabolical. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand what's diabolical about that. He says, insert ABM laugh. So many jabs in the chat room. Raider for Life said, remember the reason they wanted to outlaw Black history was because, quote unquote, we don't want our kids to be made to feel bad. Again, as a Black person in America, I can't sympathize with that type of weakness.
Who raised you? Who raised you?
I hope those white bitches get tear gassed. I hope those white bitches get tear gassed.
Come on, man, that's a brittle spirit. That is a brittle ass spirit.
I don't want them to be made to feel bad.
Come on, man, that's a brittle spirit. That is a brittle ass spirit.
Sluggo, I was trying to CSI it. I was slow in real time. ABM said blacks during the Revolutionary War were as important as a fullback is to an elite tailback. Sir, that is 1,000% accurate. I don't know if anything more brilliant than that's ever been said on the train.
Amen, preacher!
JBJ said, no, I'm sorry. JBJ said, nope, the whites were very strategic on what to teach us in school. I was just reading some history and teaching my kids about the Buffalo Soldiers and the Tuskegee Airmen. We should have united up with the Native Americans. Sir. Sir, and for so many reasons.
I would have bodies upon bodies upon bodies under me.
But unfortunately,
America's so worried about black folks.
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
As JBJ said, we should have united up with the Native Americans.
You're right. It's fact. You're right. It's fact.
JBJ, the ones that aren't available, I'm going to let them slide so I can get to it. But JBJ once again says,
I hope those white bitches get tear gassed. I hope those white bitches get tear gassed.
JBJ said, Raider, that was what they claimed, protecting their white children from getting both hands and feet put on them. Okay. If that actually happened, which it wouldn't because we're not savages, but in the small situations where that might have occurred, it's justified. Again, if you knew the history of the country, it's such a small drop in the bucket. They'll still be okay. But again, it's you know what? I'm not going to attempt to. Let me just keep moving so I can get to where I'm going. Y'all gonna end up going through every point I'm trying to make before I get there. Sluggo said these organizations get in front of grassroots movements so they can control both the narrative and actions. Once they fund you, it's a wrap. Preach, sir. Preach. That's what it's there for. If you can't make a move or speak about anything without white America's approval, when white America is actually the problem in your opposition in the fight that you have, how can that possibly be productive? I can go through a million Malcolm X quotes that spoke about that. But matter of fact, I don't have to. I don't have to go through them. As a matter of fact, don't I have? I have one, as a matter of fact. Brother Malcolm spoke on this, actually.
If the white people really passed meaningful laws, it would not be necessary to pass any more laws. There are already enough laws on the law books to protect an American citizen. You only need additional laws when you're dealing with someone who is not regarded as an American citizen. But whites are so hypocritical. They don't want to admit that this black man is not a citizen. So they classify him as a second-class citizen to get around making him a real citizen. If he was a real citizen, you'd need no more laws. You'd need no civil rights legislation. Civil rights, when you have civil rights, you have citizenship. It's automatic. White people don't need laws to protect their citizenship because they're citizens. But they don't want to tell us we're not citizens. And at the same time, they don't want to pass laws that are meaningful enough to protect us as if we were citizens. And the Supreme Court.
ABM has forwarded the chat that Sidney Jackson was trying to post, and it keeps getting blocked or taken away. Sidney Jackson posted, I tried to post this 6 times, but Twitch kept blocking it. So I'll post it here. Yes, let's discuss their history, but all of it. All the murders, stealing, genocide, genocidal rape, slavery, lying, all the race massacres, lynching, Jim Crow, Tuskegee torture, human experiments on black people, redlining, financial discrimination, and this list is less than 1% of all of their devilish actions. Not to mention they don't bathe or wash their hands. Cindy, you gotta stop, man. Yeah, Cindy set you up because he'll sit there and be all serious and then. You know what? At this point, I should know that's coming. So that's on me. I should know that's coming. Oh, God dang it. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. Okay. I think what Sydney was saying was,
there is no human being on earth that has murdered more living things than the Caucasian. He's a murderer and a liar. Take it or leave it, brother.
Let me read that again, sir. That's brilliant. Again, y'all are right on the lines of what I'm going to get into, but I'm almost at the bottom of the chat, and I can go ahead and get into it. And okay, we're still not too late in the evening. Still not too late in the evening. Well, you're a damn fool. Sidney Jackson says, I tried to post this 6 times, but Twitch kept blocking it, so I'll post it here. Yes, let's discuss their history, but all of it. All of the murders, stealing, genocide, rape, slavery, lying, all of the race massacres, lynchings, Jim Crow, Tuskegee torture, human experiments on black people, redlining, financial discrimination. And this list is less than 1% of all of their devilish actions. Not to mention that they don't bathe or wash their hands.
You're right. It's fact. You're right. It's fact.
Okay. Again, let me address this for anybody that might be listening, thinking to yourself, this is inappropriate. Uh, how could you do this? This is part of the problem. No. That would be false equivalence. You know what I'm not doing? Denying somebody a loan, denying somebody a job. You know what I'm not doing? Mistreating somebody that might come into my environment that doesn't look like our environment. Do black people ever fuck with white people when they come to our clubs and shit? No. Do we ever do that? It's just not us. Am I attacking the Capitol because I lost a vote that my ancestors set up in a system that they set up? Am I doing that? Am I building nooses, wiping shit on walls? Am I crossing state lines with AR-15 and killing 2 people? I'm venting. The world will be a better place if people vented. I'm venting. Again, I don't feel the need to bite my tongue at all. I don't feel the need to bite my tongue at all. Not when I'm telling the truth. Anybody that offends or causes them to say, "Oh, I don't give a fuck." This keeps me sane. What else can I say? It keeps me sane. But Sydney, brilliant post. I have to figure something out about this Twitch thing. We really have to maybe try to do this on YouTube and see if I have a better opportunity that everybody can actually say what they want to say via the chat. I hate the fact that y'all are being limited, or better yet, edited, censored rather. I really don't like that. Man, I miss my old platform. I really missed it. I really miss it. That's terrible. ABM said the Democratic debate stage will be a shit show in 2028. I got my popcorn ready. Raider for Life said, what I meant to say is that up in Minneapolis, black reporters reported on the church protests that aren't the first reporters, Okay. What I meant to say is that up in Minneapolis, black reporters reported on the church protests. They aren't the first reporters covering the situation, but they were definitely the first ones arrested. And that's what I'm trying to express, is that the administration is looking for a reason to arrest black folks. That's why we need to stay out of this. 100%. Preach, sir, preach.
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
Aggression only respects equal and greater aggression. So unless you're going out there with the right mindset, it's pointless. You can't reason with the unreasonable. You know what? I don't want to get into too much of the meat of the show, but Sidney Jackson said, I tried to edit that message 6 times and it still got rejected. You got to be kidding me. Sidney Jackson said, preach, Sluggo. We got to figure that out. I don't like the fact that y'all are censored. I really don't like that. Sidney saying, preach, Sluggo.
Amen, preacher.
JBJ said, Sidney Jackson, this chat blocks any and everything. Next show, man, we might have to go to YouTube and see if it's a little bit better. Maybe Facebook. No, because apparently Facebook. You know what? For the people that can, if you want, you can text that shit to me. I can read it that way. ABM said, Nick, I copied and texted you Sidney Jackson's Facebook comment that you can't see on your Acer laptop. That is funny. Acer laptop. You're funny, sir. You're funny. Yeah, Raider, this comes in handy a lot. But Raider saying,
come on, man, that's a brittle spirit. That is a brittle ass spirit.
Raider saying wow to that. Yeah, wow is right, sir, but that's what it is. It's a brittle ass spirit.
Come on, man, that's a brittle spirit. That is a brittle ass spirit.
Think about it. We're asked to ignore white actions, but they get to throw tantrums about black verbiage. Black verbiage, that's 100% true, by the way. They get to throw a tantrum about that. That shit's amazing. That's just amazing. But such is America. Sluggo said many of the natives joined forces Many of the quote-unquote natives joined forces with the whites, especially once they started carving out civilized tribes who would get set-asides. And again, think about what he's saying. They basically kind of wiped them out, and the ones that were left that would capitulate to a degree. Once there weren't too many of them left, they gave them casinos and some rights and whatnot, but only after they wiped out so many of them. But many of the natives joined forces with the whites, especially once they started carving out the civilized tribes who would get set-asides. Yeah, they cut a deal. ABM said, Caleb Wilson is a special talent. KG likability, in my opinion. Oh, you talking about round ball. Okay, football season just about over with. That's okay. Sidney Jackson said the white adults now remember how they got their asses whooped after Roots came out. They don't want that shit to happen to their kids. That's one of the reasons they are hiding their history. But again, okay, but look at it. I know you're not saying this, but this is the problem, like white America or people that might empathize. That's just chickens coming home to roost. That's karma. That's your own doing. You're doing that to your own children because you refuse to address it. Address it, meet it head on, deal with the discomfort and discourse that comes from it, and then you can hope to, quote unquote, move forward. But you can't tell a group of people, the ancestors of the people that are the problem can't tell me how to discuss the goddamn problem. This shit's absolutely insulting. But I digress, but facts, Sydney, facts. But again, it's their fault. They're doing this. The problem is you don't want to address it, and you think you can hide it. This is not going to help. You're still making whatever the reckoning is, whenever it comes, you're still making it worse. But okay. JBJ said, Black man, please tell your white loving head coach, Hubert Davis, to stop edging himself up. Something's wrong. Yeah. JBJ, you a damn fool. But you know what? I think you're right, though.
Blind motherfucker.
I think you're right, though. Hubert Davis, that's a special case. We had a lot to say about him that day. Interesting opinions, interesting thought process. Give me for that pause. I know damn well. Now that's funny. That actually. And we'll swing back around to it. That's appropriate. And that actually should be right there. Okay, we're going to bounce off of that. I'll come back to you, JBJ. Sluggo saying, preach, Sydney. Twitch is on that bullshit to block that. Yeah. I don't understand what you really said to get blocked in that situation either. Like, nothing that you said was block worthy. So this platform is very picky about the verbiage. I know early on some of the things y'all were posting. Yeah, I'm tripping. That shit was right there. Sydney, JBJ is stupid. I don't even know if I have that in there. JBJ saying, Black man, please tell your white loving head coach, Hubert Davis, to stop edging himself up.
Something wrong? Yeah. It's just too bad you don't know what it is. Brother. Something wrong? Yeah. It's just too bad you don't know what it is.
Wow. ABM said, JBJ, I was about to post the same thing. He is foul for trying to keep that edge, and he is aging like his wife.
White man just a joy to be around. They smell like lemon juice and pledge furniture cleaner.
Yeah, the white man.
JBJ said, black man, stop before I wake these kids. ABM said, Ninja, are you rocking a skull hat because you have a Sherman Hemsley? 100%, sir. Hey, listen, it's either rock the skull hat or the show would have started at like 6 o'clock Central. So to get the show started at 5:30-ish, I decided to throw in the Scully because I didn't have time to ball my head. Now, listen, it's not like I'm many days late. I just haven't cut my hair today. But I was only 1 day late when Sluggo said Ninja is, quote unquote, rocking the George Jefferson. That's not right, but that's what Sluggo said.
That's a Negro that's out of his mind.
Man said I was rocking the George Jefferson. I didn't think that was appropriate. So I can't really, yeah. That's why I'm wearing this Scully, sir, because I need to ball my head. That is why I'm wearing this Scully. ABM said Don Lemon Booty went to a Minneapolis church because he likes being in crowds. ABM said Glenn Rivers took over a team that was 30-13 and has since gone 79-72 and soon to run Giannis out of Milwaukee. Round ball talk. ABM said that photo was worse than I thought, Ninja. I was just glancing at it. Hold on, what were we talking about? Oh, and JBJ had a one more chat in here, and then let me jump into the bulk of this, what I wanted to get into. And again, I thank y'all for the back and forth and kind of getting on topic early. As always, I appreciate y'all being on topic early. And there were 2 or 3 points or 2 or 3 things I wanted to discuss that were kind of brought up, and we covered those to a degree. That is interesting. Okay, JBJ. Due to some adjustments being made, I can we can do an adjustment since we don't have what we should have. We can make an adjustment. JBJ says Sidney Jackson. JBJ said Nook took offense to the George Jefferson comment. Come on, man. I didn't take offense to that degree. I laughed at it. It was kind of funny at the time, but I just didn't think my hair was that bad. But you know what? I know what it was. I didn't even have the camera on that show. That was early on before I turned the camera on. So there wasn't even a picture, and the show was acting up. So it had jumped off, the show was spinning or whatever. It jumped off, came back, and when it came back, it turned my camera on. So my camera was on for a half second. I killed it, and that's when Sluggo said Ninja rocking at George Jefferson. It's fucked up. But JBJ saying Ninja took offense to the George Jefferson comment.
Come on, man, that's a brittle spirit. That is a brittle ass spirit. Come on, man, that's a brittle spirit. That is a brittle ass spirit.
I disagree, but do your thing. ABM co-signing saying JBJ, Nick Hemsley. Okay, sir.
Hey, slow down. Watch your speed.
All right, let's get into it, man. Let me give you a few thoughts on this narrative that because of the current state of America as it pertains to the Hispanic part of our society, that quote unquote, they're coming for us.
What? Nigga, please.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
Interesting dynamic. Let's just start here. I won't go too far back, but let's just start here as what comes to my mind when I hear that. And just, I'd like to hear from people that believe that or are pushing that particular narrative or have that talking point. I would love to hear how you came up with this particular thought process. In 2016, over 250 unarmed black people were murdered by the police. Over 250 unarmed black people were murdered by the police. The next two numbers I don't remember exactly. Out of those 250 murders, only 20 or so got an indictment. Out of those 20 or so indictments, only 3 went to trial. Out of the 3 that went to trial, only 1 was convicted. And the one that got convicted went to jail on the weekends like a goddamn vacation. So let's look at that. We're talking 10 years ago. Over 250 black people murdered by the police, which is ridiculous when you think about where we're at as far as the number in the population. No outrage, no investigations. As a matter of fact, when anything was said, white people claimed that that's an attack on the police, holding them accountable for shooting niggas. So basically what they're saying is the same thing they've always said. We don't mind y'all suffering, but do it in silence. You can protest it, but do it in a way, if you have something to say, you do it in a respectful manner. You don't talk down to the police. Because again, white murder is acceptable. Black words, completely out of line. The media didn't cover it with the intensity that it should have been covered. They always justified it and labeled the black person that got murdered as some type of criminal. Well, he had marijuana in his system. How is that relevant when he was shot several times in the chest for no reason? But that was their narrative. So think about this. The police department doesn't care. The oversight department that allegedly watches the police doesn't care. The judicial system doesn't prosecute them. The newspaper doesn't talk about it in a negative manner because they're like-minded. This was 2016. Coming for us?
Who told you that?
What? Nigga, please. Did you blind motherfucker?
In 2017, Dylan Roof walked into a church in Charleston, South Carolina. Black people, being way too nice and friendly, let this crazy-ass looking Caucasian come into church. Prayed with and or for him. And for their efforts, Dylan Roof killed 9 black people in that church. The police came and picked him up, and again, let's talk about this. In the house of the Lord, random Caucasian shows up, black people being way too nice and inviting, allow the Caucasian to come in, and as a result, 9 black people are murdered. The police don't show up guns blazing, emotional, seeking revenge. They don't drop him dead in front of the church or in the church. They calmly cuff him, put him in the car, and take him to Burger King. Because you take kids to Burger King when a job well done has been accomplished. This was covered by the news, but not the way it should have been. There was no outrage. The police didn't show up guns blazing. You killed over 250 unarmed niggas the year before. You couldn't kill this cracker? Coming for us?
Did you blind motherfucker? What? Nigga, please.
Who told you that?
When President Obama was running, a lot of the white people I went to school with, some I played sports with, came out the bag. And again, this wasn't when he won. This when he was running. And this is one of the things early on, if you didn't know, or just another affirmation that they look at it as us and them. If not, this would President Obama allegedly, I won't get into everything else, but just on its face, on its surface, that is the prime example of the American dream, allegedly. Came from nothing, worked his way up, made it to the highest office in the country, looking the way he looks. If you truly believed in the country and the American dream, that would have been something you would have been happy about. But such wasn't the case because they're happy as long as you're not in a position that makes them uncomfortable. Stay within the confines of this particular square, this particular boundaries, these boundaries that I've set for you. Stay right here. Anything outside of that, I don't like. Anything outside of that, I'm uncomfortable with. And having a ninja as president, regardless of his demeanor, regardless of the way that he acted or didn't act, was unacceptable because deep down inside, by your actions, you look at it as us and y'all. Your actions tell me that. Do you know how many people I went to school with that never would have spoken like this around us because they couldn't? Had so much to say on social media because on social media, that's when people are really, really brave. And what was really disturbing then and still disturbing now is how so many black people had nothing to say as they watched all their so-called white friends lose their mind because the structure of something they claimed not to be a part of was seemingly crumbling. They came out the bag. But over nothing. Nothing changed. Most of the agendas and things that he did helped your stupid ass. And again, these same people that wigged the fuck out over President Obama are completely fine with a raping, small business bankrupting, pedophile criminal with an anchor wife. No, I'm saying with the wife making anchor babies, all the things they say are bad. Incited an insurrection. But when Barack Obama wore a tan suit, they lost their goddamn mind. And the media covered the tan suit phenomenon or fiasco or controversy much harder than they cover January 6th. Coming for us?
You blind motherfucker.
I think when a ignorant white piece of shit can run on nothing but race baiting, attack the country he said that he loved, pardon all of the low-life motherfuckers that should have been shot in the face, along with every piece of shit that supports them. You. I love the country except when I don't get my way, man. Fuck all of y'all sideways. Do you remember how they were acting with Kaepernick? But you ignore this shit and you just smile and I'm supposed to be like, you're a good person? You're a piece of shit. You're a fucking piece of shit. Do you know how many black people have actually been to the military and fought for a country that we shouldn't even care about? We've always been better Americans than you motherfuckers. Always. Let me say that again. We've always been better Americans than y'all. Because when white people are slightly disappointed, this is what they do. Elect pieces of shit. But they will elect this ignorant, low-life piece of shit. The media doesn't cover, do you notice how they should be covering this like criminal in the White House, rapist piece of shit in the White House, January 6th motherfucking person that orchestrated the January 6th in the White House. What the fuck is going on? They're not covering it like that. They're just as ignorant as him. But how long do they talk about a goddamn tan suit? It's really not about the motherfuckers in the White House. It's the fact that we're around a bunch of goddamn psychopaths that felt attacked when what they looked at as the American way was threatened. And the American way is white people in charge and me pretending like it's us. But as soon as they had an appearance that it wasn't us and them, they felt like they didn't have that advantage. They lost their goddamn mind over the imagery of a black man in a position where he wasn't allowed to be black. That's not an argument. Coming for us.
You blind motherfucker.
In 2022, Peyton Ginron killed 10 black people, majority senior citizens, in a grocery store in New York, in Buffalo. 9 or 10. And again, I spoke about Dylan Roof. That was an attack on black people. Peyton Ginron, that was black people, our fathers and grandfathers, that age. The media did not cover that shit. Do you know how many black people don't even know that shit happened? They didn't cover it. The cracker that did it just because they were black. He had a webcam and racist epithets all over his AR-15. He had that on a webcam. There were people watching it because obviously they had prior knowledge of what he was about to do. He put it on. They didn't cover this at all. Is he trying to tell us that America wasn't a racist country? And you can't tell us that if you cover this goddamn story. I've only mentioned 2 cases in those years of just psychotic citizens committing mass shootings or slop. That's actually not the proper word. These were 2 different mass shootings with nothing more than the intent to murder black people, which they did, and both people walked away. Peyton Ginron has been sentenced to death, but that motherfucker's breathing. Both of those crackers should have died on the goddamn spot in a very painful way. They're both still breathing right now. It didn't get covered by the news. There was no outrage. Even famous black people that had a platform, because there was another set of shootings that happened around the same time. And there is no reason under God's green earth that you can talk about the kids that got attacked, but you can't talk about a specific attack of black people. It didn't get mentioned at all. How the fuck can there be a mass shooting of black people in Buffalo in 2022 without it being wall-to-wall news? Because you can't push your beautiful country that doesn't see color bullshit if you tell these stories. I'm not even close to how many attacks that have occurred to black people in the past decade, but after all of this, these motherfuckers passed hate bills for Asian people. If you say something about an Asian person, things happen to you. You're not under attack when your cries are heard. If you say something about Jewish people, something definitely happens to you. And again, I'm not saying anything wrong. You could tell the truth. But what they're saying is, nigga, shut up. You don't get to speak about Jewish people because we said so. That's what they're saying. We can do anything we want to y'all, but don't talk. Don't talk. Jewish people don't need an anti-hate bill if anytime they're brought up, the person that brings them up is attacked. If your cries are heard, you're not under attack. LGBTQ / community. Whether it's warranted or not, whether it's the truth or not, if you say something about one of them, there's an article, things happen. Because so many of them are in entertainment and in media, in politics. Things happen when their cries, when they cry, their cries are heard and things happen. You're not under attack when your cries aren't heard. Black people's cries aren't heard. And we're the only people that don't get acknowledged as being under attack. Do you mean coming for us? You're either not paying attention, you believe in the American dream, or you turn a blind eye when it's convenient. That concept is asinine. Coming for us. To come for us would suggest that we've been left alone. To come for us would suggest that there wasn't a prior history in this country. Coming for us is a statement made for people that are not under duress. I don't understand that conversation. When I first heard it, it was so confusing. Number one, you should be addressing the problem that the people you call friends, Ted, John, and Diane, are the one that put this motherfucker in the White House. If they didn't, they turn a blind eye to the people that did. Start addressing them. Stop blaming black men for allegedly not putting Kamala in the White House because mathematically that's not even possible. Y'all are big on education when it's convenient. So please address your white friends and white coworkers if you're actually trying to do something within the framework of the system. Otherwise, you're just pushing a white narrative, spinning your wheels, and not aiding in the primary goal of progress. The perception is that because America is currently attacking the Hispanic community, black people could be next. In reality, the mistreatment of black people is one of the oldest traditions in America. So please tell me, how can we be next when we've always been the primary target?
You blind motherfucker. What? Nigga, please.
This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, That Ninja. Thank you for coming aboard and rolling with me. Truly appreciate it. When myself and ABM were having that discussion, I'm thinking to myself, I'm so frustrated that after all of this time and all of these situations, all of these examples, black people mentally have fallen so far and fell victim to the psychological warfare that is living in America as a black person, and what you're told and instructed and shown to do by action to be successful. Some people can't compartmentalize and they really lose themselves in that particular system. But we're to the point now where black people won't even speak up on the truth. Black people are, so many of us are scared to calmly articulate the truth for fear that we won't be temporarily liked by the person that's the problem. That shit is incredible. If the NAACP was worth a goddamn, they should be doing nothing but fighting our history being erased. But if white people are part of the NAACP, how the fuck it? I'm sorry, let me breathe. It is so frustrating. Let me just focus on what I was saying. I won't get into, trying to gain things through politics. That's another subject. But if you're going to do it, man, address. What did James Baldwin say? Everything that's faced can't be changed, but nothing can be changed if it isn't faced. How the fuck are you going to fix the problem when you want to address white America? That's who put him in the White House. Are you scared to say that? Something wrong with that? If I can intelligently articulate my point with nothing but facts and a solid base and foundation, why would I be worried about a conversation? They put him in. Stop blaming yourself for their bullshit. Because you can't fix the problem thinking that you didn't pray hard enough or you didn't vote hard enough when you were putting the lines on the fucking card. Not voting hard enough, praying hard enough, hoping hard enough is not the reason for ignorant ass choices and stupid, predictable, savage behavior from a large part of the country. You have nothing to do with that. Their parenting does, their bloodline does. The motivation of the country does if you're paying attention and you're looking at the things you can get away with, quite frankly, as a Caucasian individual. I mean, all of these things might factor in, but I promise you, nothing that we have said, done, or ever will say, or ever will do is causing them to do any goddamn thing. If we don't stop with that stupid shit, you're not going to change a goddamn thing, because it's every conversation always works its way back around to we didn't do something. When they start fucking up, what do you hear most black people say? That's why you gotta vote. That's a coward ass, unintelligent, stupid goddamn statement. I'm not saying you can fix shit through the voting process, but you damn sure can't do it if you're not going to tell the truth about what the issue is. If only a fool respects something or someone that doesn't respect them. If we're going to blindly support the Democratic Party, then goddamn it, they have to do something for black people, not minorities. Not this goddamn gumbo of motherfuckers they try to put us in. Black people specifically. And if they won't do that, then how the fuck can this process help us? If doing something for black people is literally forbidden. Anything outside of symbolism, a fucking statue, but never. Just those numbers I gave you. And they had the caucasity to say, and they put ninjas in front of us to say, there's no racism in America. Not only that, they slapped us in the face and insulted us by giving hate bills to the Asians, the Jews, and the LGBTQ / semicolon community. You know what they did for us? A George Floyd statue and white people kneeling in Kenta Claus. Symbolism. Now is not the time to fall victim to the tranquilizing drug of gradualism and symbolism. Now is the time to make real the promises of America. Dr. King said that shit in the goddamn 50s or 60s. Give me a goddamn break. Where are all the intellectuals? Where are all the educated people? Where are all the people that are supposed to fight for us? They don't exist. Because when you become a part of that system, your job is to keep that motherfucker moving, not be a goddamn problem. And you see what happens to the people that try to stand up. They get railroaded, they get fired, they don't get reelected. Let me read the chat. But it's just frustrating. How the hell are we going to fix the problem if you won't fucking address it? The problem isn't us, man. Stop with that goofy shit. I didn't get a show in last week. I had to get this off my chest. This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, That Ninja. Thank you for coming aboard and rolling with me. Truly appreciate it. Let me find the top of the chat. JBJ said, you take kids to Burger King when JBJ said, you take kids to Burger King when they do a job well done. I mean, dude, he killed 9 black people in the church that were praying for a stupid ass. The police not only didn't show up outraged and gung-ho and, they didn't show up, guns blast. If there's ever a reason to show up guns blasting, that was a reason. You got the Lord, you got murder, you got a psychopath committing mass murder. And it was a massacre, actually. That was a massacre. He committed a massacre in the church, and they showed up calm and poised. They showed up calm and poised after a massacre. JBJ said, you take kids to Burger King when they do a job well done.
God damn anybody who doesn't glorify and at work. God damn anybody who doesn't glorify and at work.
And again, JBJ said,
Amen, preacher.
now there is a national outrage after 2 whites were taken out. Again, 2. And I'm not saying that's not tragic, but look at the difference in the goddamn response. Coming for us?
Amen, preacher.
Sluggo said, preach, Nick.
Amen, preacher.
ABM said, many of those who the terrorists pardoned from January 6th have committed felonies since. 100% fact. They've literally committed felonies. But
America's so worried about black folks. America's so worried about black folks.
Sluggo said, America pardoned those after the Civil War just as they did with the insurrectionists. Uncivilized behavior gets rewarded. That's true. If you would have put in jail or killed off those ignorant ass savages, maybe they wouldn't have continued to breed and spread the virus that was their existence. Now it's running rampant like a venereal disease on a college campus.
God damn anybody who doesn't glorify and at work.
Raider for Life said, Van Lathan was making this argument on CNN. You have to face the racial part of the USA to move forward. Well, if you even want to move forward. If you even want to move forward. My apologies. I got to take this call.
in the last year of his life, you should read Tavis Smiley's book on the death of a king. And the preachers turned on Doc. Wait now. See, some of you are angry with me, thinking I'm trying to steal Dr. King's legacy. Hell no. Don't put that on me. And don't let the white man put that on you so you could put that on me. I'm raising Dr. King because it is wrong for you to think that that man died because he had a dream. That man was a revolutionary thinker in the last days of his life. Some of his inner circle turned on him. They didn't agree with him talking against the war in Vietnam. He was hurting that his own staff, some of them disagreed with him. Then churches denied him. They didn't want him in their pulpit. Now it's easy to put his picture up and talk that crap about how you love him. You a damn liar if you loved him. I want you to listen. If you loved him, why did you let the writers of history write him down as a dreamer and pacify you with all these streets and boulevards named after him? But if you read his life in the last 2 years of his life, he met with my teacher. They had a beautiful discussion February 66. I don't know what they talked about. But I know my teacher. He loved Dr. King. But he showed him prophecy. He showed him where we are to separate from this enemy and not be integrated into him as Moses didn't integrate the children of Israel into Pharaoh. So in that last night, when he said, I want to get the language straight tonight, he stopped talking Negro and began talking black. Yes, he did. He even agreed that separation might be better for us for a while. Like a people sick or diseased, you take them out of the public and you heal them. And then you send them back to the world. I didn't know these were things that Dr. King was saying. And when I read it, I said, this man, you must know the reality of Dr. King. He's more than a dreamer. And don't you let them throw the dream speech on you from 63. Let them play for you the speech that he made in New York City when he condemned the hypocrisy of the Johnson government that's fighting a war in Vietnam against poor people there and practicing violence, then want Dr. King to preach nonviolence to us while they're training you to kill people that never did nothing to you overseas.
All right, My apologies for that, but I just say that couldn't be helped. That had to be done. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Let me get back into the chat, and I do apologize. Sluggo said, because we blindly support them, they don't have to offer anything. Facts. Why would they? You're not demanding anything. You have to. You act like a fool, they're going to treat you like one. Sidney Jackson said, it's wild that a candidate can't even mention stopping racism against black people and expect to win an election. And that's what the fuck that's a fact. If you do that shit, it's political suicide. But somehow within the context of this organization and this system, we're supposed to get progress or get what we need from this country. I think I agree with what Malcolm said. And Dr. King even said the same thing, actually, in 68. Was it 68 or was it 67? I think those clips I was playing from him were from 68, I think. At least 67. I could look at the notes, but I'll just let it go. But again, it's political suicide. But somehow we can use this to advance ourselves. I don't see how those two things can exist at the same time. JBJ said, what made it even worse was that the family members said they forgave that lunatic. I'll never understand.
Sick help! Sick help!
And more along the lines of what you wanted, but not the exact thing you wanted. What made it even worse was that the family members said that they forgave that lunatic.
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked. Bamboozled. Led astray. Run amok.
What I'm going to say, JBJ, is that is a result of the slow IV drip of brainwashing that we endure on a regular basis and the psychological warfare that is the psychological warfare that is way more American than apple pie. As a matter of fact, and I said this many moons ago, apple pie is actually not American, it's Dutch. So again, that I don't know if there's anything that's actually true. Apple pie is not American at all. It was actually brought here and or made by the Dutch. So American as apple pie is actually bullshit as well. But most of it is. I'll move on. JBJ, that shit's crazy. That old forgiveness thing. But I think that soundbite's appropriate because it's because of the programming. And another aspect I won't get into right now because I'll lose so many people. Sluggo said they're not facing anything. There will be no racial reckoning at this pace. This plan is to flood the country with immigrants to weaken our political power. By the time we wake up, it'll be too damn late. God damn it, Sluggo, preach. Look, they preach.
Woo! Jesus. Woo! Jesus.
Somebody say yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Bring us your weak, your tired, your huddled masses. When they brought all those Italians in and all of those, I don't know why I always forget. What are the original immigrants? Italians. God damn it. It was like three main groups initially. I don't know why I always blank on these because at the end of the day, they're just looked at as white, even though they still have a sense of their history. But Italians, there should be one that should be like real obvious. But right now, I can't fucking remember. Irish. I think Italians, Irish, and one other group. They brought them in. All of that bullshit was, come here, we need more workers because we're not going to pay these niggas money. We're used to them working for free. We're not trying to give them any type of economic floor. Dr. King even spoke about that. They brought all those white peasants in and gave them an economic floor, gave them land, gave them tax breaks so they could grow crops and establish something. They didn't give black people shit. They freed them into nothing and then incorporated black laws, which are basically slave laws. Another show for another day, but all of that is relevant. I hate when our shit is not talked about in detail and people say, sure. Do you know how fucked up or uninformed you have to be as a white person that always used to say everybody had the same opportunity? They either were telling a bold-faced lie or they were so uneducated they didn't know any better. But either way, You can't be old and white and not know that you had an advantage. Or you're so fucked up you think you deserve one. I don't know what the hell it is, but to come up in those times and actually pretend like you couldn't, motherfucker can't come in the same door you can come in, but y'all had the same goddamn opportunity. Okay, motherfucker. Okay. The fuck out of here. Again, that's why I don't, you know what? I'll stop. JBJ said, talking about me, who just abruptly cuts off their podcast and puts the audience on hold? I want to do a podcast, but where do I start and what do I talk about? JBJ, just know and understand it was for good reasons. You know, some things are more important. Some things are more important, sir. Raider for Life said, nah, the plan was to get rid of immigrants and have black folks do the jobs they were doing. Farmers are actually surprised it didn't happen. Are you talking about this plan now? Snuggle said, we act as if our forgiveness will change their hearts. Maybe that will work with sane people, but it clearly doesn't work with psychopaths. Let me read that again.
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
We act as if our forgiveness will change their hearts. Maybe that would work with sane people, but it clearly doesn't work with psychopaths. Once again, one of the characteristics of psychopathy and or being a psychopath is that when confronted with the truth and or the reality of what you've done, when being held accountable, you feel attacked and you lash out. There is no cure for psychopathy. Only isolation and death. There is no cure.
Sick help! Sick help!
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
Thank you, Raider for Life. Italians, Irish, Polish. I remember I don't know why I was about to say Polish. I couldn't remember. But the Italians, the Irish, and the Polish, they brought them in. The Italians back in the early 1900s sent like $2.5 million back home. They made so much money as a race or as a group, they were able to send $2.5 million back home. They did not want to give black people that economic floor. Because without that, we still managed to come up and outdo their worthless ass. And what did they do? Sanction massacres. And now what are they doing? Erasing the history of the massacres that happened. But they're coming for us. Nigga, please. This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, that Ninja Man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the back and forth. Do I want to go on any type of football rant? Or do I want to get out of here and chill out for the evening? Let's see. I'll give you, let me make sure I'm done here. Yeah, let me unwind. Let me unwind now. But again, that bring us your weak, your tired, your huddled masses. They might as well say, fuck these niggas. That same thing. But again, just one section of that group, $2.5 million got sent back to Italy. Imagine what black people could have done with that economic floor. But the country purposely didn't want to give us that. And then later on, when we asked for reparations, these evil, low-life, should be shot in the face motherfuckers say shit like, you want a handout. No, a handout is what your goddamn ancestors got. They gave the Italians a handout, the Polish people a handout, and the Irish a goddamn handout. Then they let y'all run the police department, and y'all are still acting like asses toward black people to this day. I hate that false equivalence when they say everybody came here and everybody faced discrimination. Coming here by choice and being brought here in bondage is the same thing. Nobody's that stupid. They just want us to shut the fuck up so they can enjoy the peace that our ancestors built for them. And to that, I say, fuck you. Sideways. Oh, you know what? I did actually. Thank you for reminding me, sir. Thank you. Raider for Life sent another text. Thank you, sir. I almost forgot. Thank you. From Raider for Life. And again, Twitch wouldn't take this. Yesterday, my pastor quoted Bill Clinton's statement on Minneapolis in recent weeks. We watch horrible scenes play out in Minneapolis and other communities that I never thought would take place in America. people, including children, have been seized from their homes. People, including children, have been seized from their homes, workplaces, and the street by masked federal agents. Quote, his response was, "Oh, really?" He then said, "You haven't seen it before because you weren't looking." Highlighted George Floyd and the presence of the KKK in America. He was on it yesterday. Hey, shout out to your pastor, because most people would just say the get along statement.
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
It's just like when they had some kind of shooting at a club. It was like in Florida. It was a gay club. And they said it was the biggest mass shooting in the history of America. You know why they said that? Because they don't count all the mass shootings and all the massacres that their ancestors did, because that didn't happen. They don't count those. So that statement, again, historically incorrect. Let's read that again. Yesterday, my pastor quoted Bill Clinton's statement on Minneapolis. Quote, in recent weeks, we've watched horrible scenes play out in Minneapolis and other communities that I never thought would take place in America. People, including children, have been seized from their homes, workplace, and the streets by masked federal agents. Quote, his response was, "Oh, really?" He then said, "You haven't seen it before because you weren't looking." Highlighted George Floyd and the presence of the KKK in America. He was on it yesterday. And again, you can go back to the federally sanctioned massacres that occurred. You could go back to, okay, when white people were going through the Great Depression. And the reason why I say is when white people were going through the Great Depression is because the Great Depression for black people was not a Great Depression. A depression is being enslaved and brought to a country that you're not from. The Great Depression was some white shit. Black people, relatively speaking, were doing quite well. Much better than we had been doing. So that wasn't really our thing. But during that, white people would just walk in black homes and take food or try to take your shit. And a lot of black people killed the white people that attempted to do that and actually had to flee as a result. Chris Rock's grandfather had to do that. His grandfather, great-grandfather killed a white person that came in their house on that bullshit. And they had to leave Georgia. And they had to leave Georgia as a result. So that's something that happened throughout history. So great point. Again, it's happened. It's just like the massacre thing and talking about a mass shooting. No, it's been way worse. But again, y'all discount, dismiss, or ignore what your ancestors did to us because, again, it doesn't push your bullshit narrative. And if we really understood who they were, who they are, who we were, and who we actually are, it would solve a lot of the issues. I think one of the main things would be some of us, or a lot of us, would hopefully stop hanging on everything that they say and do. Because some people look at the news and that's all it takes. They're actually, despite everything that shows you the contrary, so many of us believe that if something is in the news cycle and repeat it over and over again, and they put some ninja up there to repeat their bullshit as well, that it must be fact. That's all it takes. It never crosses your mind that these are some evil, lying motherfuckers that inherently don't like you and are always going to be biased in their views. Sluggo, as you were saying, I don't know if there's anything they can do for some people to still have people blaming us for what's happening right now with that you didn't vote bullshit. Everything they're doing is working, every distraction, because that's a bullshit white narrative and a distraction. You better concentrate on the problem. It's not the people in the White House that you're never going to meet. It's your neighbor that thinks like them. Untrained pets piss and shit everywhere. I repeat, untrained pets piss and shit everywhere.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
My apologies for not adjusting that volume. That was probably kind of loud. My bad. JBJ said, great info, sir. I appreciate it. Sluggo said, appreciate that, JBJ. Sluggo said, apparently black people were doing well at the start of the Great Depression. The Harlem Renaissance was during that time, if I recall correctly. That's my point. That depression shit was for white people. We had came out of slavery dealing with multiple masters and your ignorant ass unbathed ancestors. That depression shit was for white people. That's why we being taught the same history is ridiculous. We don't have the same goddamn history here. That's not racist. That's not starting shit. That's the truth. And we're to a point now that if we don't keep that alive, there's no chance these institutions are going to do so. You think there's a chance that if you, quote unquote, get in a good neighborhood, that you're going to have a teacher or a school system that actually gives a fuck? They care as long as you conform, but we should not receive the same education. Everybody needs to know the real history. But if they're too fragile to learn it, goddamn it, we should know. But to let that die at the behest of the goddamn ancestors of the people that did it, if we're not concerned about that and all we're screaming about is praying and voting, man, we're already fucking dead. Unless your goal is for us to be a bastardized version of them, then we're well on our way as a people. Well on our way. Well on our way. Man, I appreciate y'all. I'll say this. Let me give y'all this. Football wise. Yeah, I covered all of that. Football wise. I won't get into all of those ridiculous coaching hires, but again, as we're discussing lack of equity for black people in America. Not going to get in. Let me just say this about my college team. For those that know me, they know I'm a fan of Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. And I've been very disappointed in things that we've done. Even winning the title last year, if you listen to the show, you know how I wasn't as enthused about that. I know we lucked into it because our regular season was average, and we just happened to play good ball in the playoffs. There was an adjustment made, but I don't think it was made from Big Back Kelly. We then promoted Brian Hartline, who did okay and got a head coaching job that he didn't deserve yet. But, complexion for the protection for the collection. And now, with premier talent, coming from a Ryan Day offense that broke records and numbers every year with the likes of Dwayne Haskins, C.J. Stroud, and Justin Fields. We go from that to dumbing down and narrowing down the offense to fit the skill set of lesser quarterbacks. As if we weren't conservative enough last year, now they're bringing in Arthur Smith. I was talking to the yellow one earlier, and I was like, man, it's like these motherfuckers listened to a few of my shows and said, let's do everything in football that he hates. I swear this season, college and pro has been like, everything I hate in sports, let's make it come to fruition. Oh, it's been a horrible NFL and college season for me. And to top it all off at the end, we hire an OC that I've hated ever since I've known his name. Got all the credit for Derrick Henry being a phenom because they weren't going to give that ninja credit. They were too busy saying, Ryan Tannehill is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Oh, my God. I wonder when he's going to get his credit. If Ryan Tannehill was semi-decent, the Titans would have been great. Derrick Henry carried them for years when the entire defense knew he was coming because they had no quarterback. And he still got it done. And instead of talking about him, they're too busy telling you that this short-ass slot receiver on steroids is one of the greatest goddamn things we've ever seen, even though he can't stay healthy. Derrick Henry actually stays healthy, which is crazy considering what he goes through. He doesn't get a tenth of the credit he should get. He's literally one of the greatest things to ever touch a football field, but he hasn't gotten his credit because they're too busy giving his accomplishments to worthless coaches like Arthur Smith and no-count quarterbacks like Ryan Tannehill. Arthur Smith never did shit in Tennessee. His play calling was horrible, and his quarterback wasn't shit. In Atlanta, I never knew what they had because him as a head coach, number one, he got a head coach based on Derrick Henry's greatness. And then he came to Atlanta and did nothing because he's a terrible play caller. Conservative, uncreative, predictable, and easy to defend. When it works, it looks okay. But any decent defense shuts it down because he's conservative, predictable, and everything is within this 35 to 40-yard radius, which makes it so easy to guard you or defend you, rather, to scheme against you. And he just continues to get employment. I'll never understand it. I've been screaming that since he was the OC at Tennessee. Then made a head coach in Atlanta. Went to Pittsburgh as an OC. And now, out of all the places on planet Earth, what in the name of all that is decent and holy is going on? When a team in Ohio State arguably is one of the most coveted offensive coordinator jobs in football. Well, we were at one point, and you go and hire Arthur Smith. Now I get it. You need an Arthur Smith when you have a mediocre ass quarterback like Julian Sand, and you just want to dip and dunk and take an occasional shot because that's all he can fucking do. But we're so far from what we used to be. Ryan Day never needed to give up play calling duties. You're breaking records offensively. Finishing a game has nothing to do with a lack of offensive production. And ever since he's let go of the reins, I've hated the direction we went in offensively. Hated it. And now you bring in an OC that I've always hated, Arthur Smith. The yellow one was so happy to call and make sure that I was aware. He was so happy to call and make sure that I was aware. That Arthur Smith was our new OC. I just shook my head. I was like, you mean to tell me Atlanta rehired Arthur Smith? Man, that's some bullshit. He said, no, Ohio State. I said, oh my God. I didn't even,
Oh, sorry. That's not right. Oh, sorry. That's not right. Oh, sorry. That's not right.
I never understand. Arthur Smith is the OC for the Ohio State University. Instead of getting more skilled quarterbacks, we're dumbing down the offense that was once dynamic under Haskins, under Fields, under Stroud. And now we're dumbing it down and making it ABC 1, 2, 3, Fisher Price, Simon Says ass offense for average ass talent. It's disappointing, to say the least. As a fan of the Buckeyes, I'm not a fan of this move. I've never liked Arthur Smith. One of the worst, most predictable, and uncreative play callers I've ever seen in my life. This is going to cost us players and recruits. But I don't know. Here's what it is. ABM said, don't promise a show, Lou. Your resume of missed shows with no alerts is impeccable. You know what? I am bad about alerting y'all about that, but I've never, up until last year, I've never really needed to. If I miss a show back in the day, I always made it up. So last year was the only year I had that was that bad as far as being inconsistent. A lot of reasons for that I'm not going to get into over the air, but my apologies, man. Very inconsistent year. The shit has always been up. It wasn't money or no shit like that. I wasn't there, man. I just wasn't there mentally. So I just didn't, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't there mentally. So I just had to get back right. A lot of things. It was a busy time, man. A lot of shit was popping off. JBJ said, I'm really not excited about watching this Super Bowl. I'll only watch it since it will be nothing else on. JBJ, I'm not sure if I'm watching or not. I mean, again, this season has been a nightmare for me. I picked up Atlanta as a team, beating quality teams, losing to lesser teams, lost 2 or 3 games on a field goal, lost Michael Penix before the end of the year. And then these low-life, ignorant, stupid-ass motherfuckers fire Raheem Morris after 2 goddamn seasons when you can see the potential. And now they brought in a pasty-ass regime, and I don't know what they're going to do. Mike Vrabel's bitch-made ass is in the goddamn Super Bowl, and now white American media gets to have an orgasm over him. Overrated-ass quarterback, put in the ideal situation, is now in the goddamn Super Bowl, and now they get to push that fucking narrative. Seattle gets rid of Geno Smith, bring in Sam Darnold, and they go to the goddamn Super Bowl. Everything about this shit makes me sick to my goddamn stomach. Everything about it. Now, it's football. I can enjoy that, but man, this is the most fuck yo black ass season ever for me. It's like too many ninjas winning Super Bowls. Let's fuck this up. And the teams that had all the potential in the world, for some reason, they had dumb coaching that everybody ignored. I don't know how. Super Bowl winning quarterback, let's bring in an incompetent OC and just let him do whatever for the whole year. And the whole year, the media is just talking about receivers and A.J. Brown and, a book and Jalen Hurts. And, y'all don't see this goddamn OC. Why is the story not... Why is a Super Bowl winning quarterback being held back by a goddamn coach that doesn't have as much experience as him? Man, fuck this damn season. But I'm not excited for this Super Bowl either, JBJ. JBJ laughing at the yellow one. Sir, just the yellow one. You know what I'm saying? It's just I mean, it's a quick description. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. But yeah, the yellow one, sir, the yellow one. Yeah, conversations with the yellow one. We had a nice little convo earlier about some of these things and discussing this country known as
Amerikkka.
JBJ said the yellow one.
You must be on something. You must be on something.
Sluggo said, I've watched both college and NFL last year, but it's probably the least amount I've watched since my overseas days. They're slowly becoming the NBA for me. I 1000% co-sign that. That's kind of how I look at it. They're slowly becoming the NBA, and it's disgusting. Well, I'm starting to choose TV series and going out over watching football, which I never used to do, not if it's a so-called ideal or big-time game that I can eat at the house, it's just. But I chose that a lot more this year. I chose experience and living and doing things a lot more because football season was so disappointing. I'm like, this isn't even worth it, man. Let me go do something else other than being frustrated by what I'm seeing on the screen. Watching football this year for me, Sluggo said he's an offensive genius, sir. Raider for life, I believe, laughing at me. Sluggo said he's an offensive genius, sir, referring to Arthur Smith.
What? Nigga, please.
Who told you that?
What? Nigga, please.
Who told you that?
The NFL said,
Who this nigga on that name?
And this is the season I get as a result. Oh, by the way, white people that had a problem with Black History Month and felt like a statue of George Floyd was too much and were outraged by white people kneeling in Pentecost, all symbolism that led to nothing and means nothing. For white people that complained about Mexican Americans saying they were taking jobs, Upset that black people have jobs that you wanted to get because you felt like affirmative action kept you out. Let me reiterate this. I said this before, but let me say it again. Affirmative action is not to give unqualified black people opportunities. Do you know why affirmative action exists? And again, this is another one of those white talking points to feel better about your own bullshit. Affirmative action, once again, does not exist to give unqualified black people jobs. It exists because without being forced to, most white people would do the white thing instead of the right thing. In other words, they had to force most of you to do that because otherwise you just wouldn't fucking do it. There's no historical evidence to support your bullshit claims. Every time black people have been in a situation to get a job they've never done before, we've excelled at that shit. So to even claim that is stupid. You're just used to getting things you didn't deserve. I hate when that's said and nobody checks that shit. Once again, affirmative action is not to hire unqualified black people. It's to force white people to do the right thing instead of the white thing. Because you're not going to do it on your own. It's because you won't act right. Not because we're not qualified. Miss me with that. But again, if you can rewrite the history of somebody who your ancestors treated savagely throughout history and nobody blinks, why wouldn't you think you can get away with it? There's plenty to be outraged about, but it's not being talked about. Sidney Jackson said, I'm 100% not watching the Super Bowl. I have no interest in either team. I don't either. Sidney Jackson said, tomatoes thrown at that fired Eagles OC. Sucks. The black dude that was the OC the year they had a good record, but the offense didn't look the same, they fired that nigga in the middle of the season. But he let this sorry, worthless motherfucker call plays all year. And the whole year, all I'm hearing about is A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, and nobody's saying anything about an unqualified OC. Jalen Hurts, as soon as that motherfucker started calling plays, Jalen Hurts should have told him to go to hell. I would have changed everything that motherfucker called. What the fuck are you going to do? I've been to Super Bowl twice. You've never called plays before. Sirianni's been to 2 Super Bowls, so his bullshit's going to be tolerated, but pure fucking stupidity. It's just so all the teams that had the potential to do something just magically didn't want your team to do well. You magically can't see that this. Why don't y'all just let that motherfucker run the offense that he does well? They don't do that to any of these white people. They have an offense that they run well. They don't come in and change every goddamn thing. It doesn't make any fucking sense at all. None at all. This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, that Ninja. Appreciate y'all, man. I know I have cows I haven't read. I have some football talk I could get into, but I'm not interested in the pro shit at all. Been a terrible year for me all the way around. Just on a personal level. Horrible fucking year. Let me think. I can't give you a day right now. I will attempt to give you a bonus show, try to make up for last week. I don't plan on having the type of year that I had last year. Most inconsistent year I've ever had in podcasting. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. Chill out for the evening. I'm not going to do the cows today. Next show, I will do the cows that I have, and we'll keep those going. I haven't gotten rid of them. I've just been a little negligent, and I apologize for that. But I will give you the outro before I get out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the back and forth. I consider said back and forth to be therapeutic, which makes all of you my de facto therapists. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the session. Moms taught me how to cook when I was younger. Wait a minute. What were we just talking about? That? No. That was it. I did talk about that extra thing, right? Got that. Yeah, that's it. Moms taught me how to cook when I was younger. I still love to cook to this day. Thank you for that skill set, moms. I appreciate it. Shout out to that beef stew. I'm about to go get another bowl of it. That shit fire. Pops taught me to think of all I speak, but speak not all I think. Simply put, that means that you need to at least think about what you're about to say and who you're about to say it to. And sometimes, perhaps you just need to shut the fuck up. But think all you speak, but speak not all you think. Pops also taught me how to be a man. I appreciate that because when I witness those that don't conduct themselves in that manner, I don't have the words to express how grateful I am that I'm not one of those individuals. Love you, Pop. R.I.P.D.T. And as always, I take a shot for Pop. R.I.P.D.T. Love you, Pop. It's okay to think. It's not illegal yet. If somebody teaches you something, take the time to look into it for yourself. This initiates the learning process. If somebody teaches you and you take it at face value, you're being taught. You don't want to get taught. You want to learn. Meaning when somebody tells you something, you research it and find out about it on your own. Always learn. Don't get taught. Always learn. Don't get taught. Pops taught me that a man who trims himself to suit everybody will soon whittle himself away. Simply means stay true to yourself. Do not adjust your thought process for the temporary approval of others, because if they cannot respect the way you think, they're not your friends anyway. And to quote the last line of Mass Appeal by the late, great guru, I'll be kicking the reel while they'll be losing the race, trying to chase Mass Appeal. Remember, we are at war. It will not be reported. It will not be reflected as such, but please get at least one long gun and one short gun. Please get at least 1,000 rounds of ammunition for each. Go to the range, learn how to be efficient with your weapon, learn how to carry it properly, clean it, break it down, and take care of it. Please teach everybody you love and care about to do the same. Take the time to learn how to clear your house. Develop scenarios that if there was a break-in or some type of disturbance, what everybody in your house would do, and what would be the best and most strategic way for you to secure your house, secure your family, and secure your belongings. Practice doing that to where it becomes muscle memory and not a moment of panic, anger, and or fear. Try to develop a mentality that will allow you to not hesitate to protect yourself, your family, and your belongings. A good way to do that is to study where you came from, how you got here, and how you've been treated since you've been here. If you do that, I promise you, pulling the trigger will be a hell of a lot easier. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for the back and forth. Thank you for being patient with my inconsistency. I will do better as the year progresses. Once again, the highlight today, the great Khalid Abdul Muhammad, and I did not incorporate his other two quotes, so I'm going to do that right now. Along the lines of our history being erased, Black people love to look up to white people. For what? Like our ancestors didn't create all the sciences and change the world. All white people did was rob and steal everything. We shouldn't look up to them. They should look up to us. That goes along the lines of the history and the false history. They have to push that history, because if you understand who you are, you wouldn't accept half of these dumbass narratives. You look at it like I do. It would just annoy you. It would disgust you. It would irritate you, because you know that there's no way it's possible due to the history and the current actions of these people. It's not possible. Let me read that one again. Black people love to look up to white people. For what? Like our ancestors didn't create all the sciences and change the world. All white people did was rob and steal everything. We shouldn't look up to them. They should look up to us. When the Moors invaded Spain, they brought science, mathematics, music, cleanliness. You need to bathe. Stop fucking your livestock. Put the livestock outside. Stop fucking it. Stop. 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 Wash that off. Clean your food. Cook it in a timely manner. The first raised walking streets were done by the Moors. Those are sidewalks, street lights, lit streets. The Moors brought that to Europe. None of this is taught historically. So that's why that's true. They just stole all that shit and claimed that they did it. There were only a handful of libraries in Europe. In Moorish Spain, there were like over 50 or some shit like that, maybe more than that. There were no libraries in Europe. That was a Moor thing. Those so-called philosophers waited for years to get into the mystery schools, and they claimed all the knowledge that they were taught. That's why that quote is so powerful and so True. And my favorite quote by the great Khalid Abdul-Muhammad on the way out: when white folks can't defeat you, they'll always find some Negro, some boot-licking, butt-licking, buck-dancing, bamboozled, half-baked, half-fried, sissified, punkified, pasteurized, homogenized nigga that they can trot out in front of you. And if we're dealing with recent history, see Nicki Minaj. See Nicki Minaj. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for the back and forth. I'll see y'all next time, next Monday. As always, take care and be